Hello everyone, this is Malo, and welcome to my tutorial series on how to make a custom zombies map in Call of Duty World at War. I've been working on this for a very long time, so it's going to be kind of a mess, and I apologize for that, but hopefully the information I try to teach in this big video will be easy to digest. Now, in the description, I'm going to have tons of resources that taught me how to do stuff. I had to look through forums that were 5+ years old and just go all over the internet trying to find things to fix bugs or etc. Just a ton of stuff. So, like every YouTuber nowadays, it'd mean the world if you hit that subscribe button and smash the like button, right? Ring the bell. Anyway, with that, this is going to be a long video. So the first step you're going to need to do is, of course, have Call of Duty World at War. Now, normally you can get it on Steam for 20 bucks, but right now it's actually $15, and who in the hell would buy all this? But besides the point, you can get it for $20 on Steam, summer sale 15, but this will probably be over when I release the video. Maybe not. I don't know. So you're going to need Call of Duty World at War, so purchase this on Steam. After you've installed Call of Duty World at War, we're going to need to open up the root files. So open up your File Explorer, go to your disk drive, Program Files x86, scroll down and go to Steam, then open up Steam Apps, Common, Call of Duty World at War. This is the raw game, but there's a problem. We don't have the mod tools. So what we're going to do is we're going to install the mod tools. So download the mod tools plus UGX patch version 1.0.6 file from my Google Drive. And you'll need WinRAR for this, but assuming you already have that, download it and just drag all of these files into the Call of Duty World at War root files. In the meantime, while this is installing, I highly recommend downloading Folder Painter. It's a free program that allows you to change the colors of folders on your computer. And this will help us a lot because there's tons of folders and files in the World at War root folder, and it's very easy to get lost. So I highly recommend downloading this, and I'll show you which folders we want to change the color of so it's easier to navigate. Now, another file we're going to need to install is the UGX Script Placer 2.0.1. I like to put this in my bin folder because this is where we're going to be opening up the launcher in Radiant, so I recommend putting it there. After that, we can open the launcher program, and we're going to press the converter button. After you press the converter button, you might get an error, but it should be okay. Now this, I'm not 100% on, but I believe way back when I was doing this originally, creating custom zombie maps, I had to install Microsoft Visual C++ 2008. Not 100% on it, but if you have problems, try installing it and it might fix some problems. Now with Folder Painter, these are the folders I recommend changing the color of so it's much easier to navigate through. Change the color of the bin folder, change the color of the map source folder, change the color of model_export, change the color of the mod folder, change the color of the raw folder, change the color of the source data folder. Inside the raw folder, change the color of the images folder as well, and change the color of the X model folder. And inside the map source folder, change the color of the prefabs folder as well. Now we're going to install some prefabs, which will make our map making process much easier. Download the Gimpy 6 WinRAR perks file and drag the map source folder into your map source folder for World at War. After that, download the Malo prefabs WinRAR file and drag the map source folder into your map source folder in World at War as well. Now with that all done, let's create a zombies map. So we're going to go to bin, open up UGX Script Placer 2.0.1. Now if you get an error saying couldn't download XML, just press OK and ignore it. Now let's put in a map name. I'm going to name my map Tutorial, and my display name is going to be Tutorial as well. We're going to pick a blank map and we're going to include UGX EasyFX. I haven't played with the weather, menu, or UGX mod configuration, so we'll just ignore that for now. Then click generate and press OK. We can close the UGX Script Placer now. Now open your mods folder and open your map. Then download the BO perks for your map install files WinRAR file. Open it up and drag all the files into your mod file. If you get a pop-up like this, just click replace. Now there's one more file we have to download, which is TM4. Download the WinRAR file and drag it into your Call of Duty World at War root folder. For me, sometimes it'll delete the file we need, so I recommend having the WinRAR file here as a backup so we can always replace it. Open up the WinRAR file and drag the D3D9 file into your World at War root folder. Now if we open up the mods folder and go to our map, there's many things we can edit. If we go to the maps file and go to _zombie mode, press F3 and type in or copy and paste level.zombie_move_speed and and press find next, you can see right here, this is what controls the zombie's speed. So on round 1, it multiplies the speed by 8, meaning the speed is 8. So if you want the speed to be faster, you'll just change that number. For example, the speed of the zombies on round 10 is going to be 80. For me, I like this feature. So round 1, we have walker zombies, and then it catches the players off guard because they're sprinting super fast on round 2. So I'm going to change this to 80, but you don't have to. You can leave it at 8 and it'll be like old school zombies where it's a slow build up. Another thing we can change is the start score for the player. If we open up the zombie mode folder again and press F3 and type in zombie_start, press find next, you can see we start with 500 points. Because we're testing the map and all of that fun stuff, I'm going to change this to 500 to 50,000. Now there's one more thing we can do as well. If you open up your _zombie mode file again, and the reason why I say open it up again instead of doing it all at once, when you press F3 and do searches, it can kind of get buggy with going up and down through all the text, so it's just easier to close it and reopen it. But what we can do is press F3 and copy and paste this line with zombie mode _dogs and press find next, and you can delete this line right here. Then if we type in or copy and paste spawn _dog equals true and press find next, you can see down here there's true, 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 and true. If you change all of these trues to false, there will be no hellhound rounds in your map. I'm going to leave them at true though. Now let's get to map making. We're going to open up our bin folder and open up the launcher, and then we're going to go to the Radiant button. Now the first time you open this up, it might not look like this, and you might have to open up a file called Call of Duty World at War.prj. Just open up that file and you'll be all set. After that, we're going to go to File, Open, or you could press the Open File button underneath it, and we're going to open up our map, which was Tutorial. Now as overwhelming as this may look, I promise it's not that bad. There's still tons of things I don't know how to do inside of Radiant, so I'll just show you the things I know and give you an overview of the controls. So on the left here, we have a grid that shows X, Y, and Z views of our map. On the right, we have a 3D workspace view, and on the bottom right, we have a texture window showing all the textures we can assign to our map. So for an example, if I go to Textures, Usage, Tools, you can see we have a bunch of textures. Whenever we build a map, we're going to want to use the caulk material. The reason for this is because the caulk material is invisible on our map. Using this material is very useful because there's no point in having textures in areas that the player will never visit. So use the caulk material and then just apply textures to faces of the caulk material, which will make sense later on. So going through the controls inside of Radiant, if you hold the right mouse and move it, you can see I moved the grid. This also moves you around in the 3D workspace, but as you can see, it doesn't do anything yet because we don't have anything in our map. So let's add something in our map. For an example, let's draw out a floor. You can use the left mouse and drag and create a floor, and then you can use your right mouse and hold it and move around. To move up and down, you hold Control right mouse and move up and down. And if you hold Control Shift right mouse, you can rotate around. So right mouse allows you to move around, Control plus right mouse allows you to move up and down, and Control Shift right mouse allows you to rotate your view. Now something else we can do is change the grid size for more precise map making. So if I zoom in and press 7 on my keyboard, you can see the grid size is very big. But once I go down to 6, it gets subdivided, and this continues going down to 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. 1 doesn't look that different, but if you zoom in, you can see it's very, very much subdivided. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 changes the grid size. You can also zoom in and out with the scroll wheel on the grid view and over here. Another thing we can do is change the view on our grid. So if we press Control and Tab at the same time, it changes the grid view of our map. So this is the top view, then a sideways view, then another sideways view. So X, Y, and Z. Something we can do right now is change our grid size down to 4 and drag our floor underneath the blue line so it's leveled. Some other neat things we can do is deselect our object by pressing Escape, and if we hold Shift and left mouse, we can click on an object and select it. If I press Escape again to deselect and press Control Shift left mouse, it'll allow us to select a face. This is what we'll use when texturing faces on our map to save on resources. Something else we can do with our object selected is press backspace, which will delete the object, and we can press Control Z to undo or Control Y to redo. Another thing we can do is press space with an object selected, which will copy it, so now we have 2 objects. And another thing we can do is with an object selected, press R and rotate it with our left mouse. This depends on the grid view though, so on 7 it only rotates a little bit, but if I change it down to 4 for an example, it rotates a bit more. Even going down to 1, you can see it rotates very precisely. Another useful shortcut is N, which allows us to pull up the entity window. This allows us to add scripts and values and all that fun stuff to make our map actually work. Something else we can do is press F, which opens up the filters window. This is very useful when you have a lot of objects on your map and it's very complicated and messy to work with, so you can can turn off things like the world, or you could turn off path nodes, volumes, vehicles, all of that stuff to make the map making process a lot easier. And one more thing I'll show is the stamp button on the top right. This won't do anything right now, but when we import a prefab and press the stamp button, it'll ungroup it, allowing us to edit the values. So let's actually build our map. The first thing we want to do is insert the player spawns. So right click on the grid and go to misc prefab, open up Malo's prefabs folder, and open up the player spawns.map file. This will bring the player spawns into your map. You can change the grid size and change the view with Control and Tab to position this accordingly. Now that we know how tall our player will be, we can actually build our map. This is up to preference with what you want to do, but I'm going to have a big box as our floor that I'm going to use all over the map, and then I'll create walls. So zooming in and changing my grid size down to 4, I'm going to create a wall right here, dragging it out with the caulk material. Then I'm going to change my view, make sure it's leveled, bring it up. Then I'm going to change my grid size to 7 and stretch this wall out. Then I'm going to deselect it with escape, and now I'm going to carve out a wall for the barricade. So this is another tool I didn't show earlier, but it makes sense now to show it in action. So if I select an object and go down here to get a more precise view, you can press X or enable the clipper button at the top to get the clipper tool. I'm going to press X, click in one point, and then click in another. Now what this will do is cut the object in half. Instead, if I click 2 points and press enter, it's going to delete the other object. So what I'm going to do is for only one box, I'm going to cut it out like so. Then I'm going to make another cut right here and press shift enter. Now you can see we kind of have a door frame. Then I'm going to deselect this, select the door frame, change the view to this direction, and barricades are 4 blocks, then there's an 8 space gap, and then 4 blocks at the top. So we can count 1, 2, 3, 4, and with X selected, I'm going to click here, then I'm going to click over here, press shift enter, and then at the top, I'm going to do the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, click, click, press shift enter, and now we have a barricade. I'm going to delete the inside by pressing backspace, and now our barricade is ready to go. What we can do as well is actually bring the barricade prefab into our map. So right click on the grid, go misc prefab, go to Malo's prefabs, go to zombies, and open up the barricade.map file. This is the barricade prefab, and I'll tell you what's going on. This green blue box allows the zombies to hop over the barricade. Of course, we have the zombie boards, and then this clipping texture allows the player to not jump and sit inside the window. This is a very important texture because you don't want the player to no clip through objects or get into glitched areas. So with this selected, I'm going to press R and rotate it. Then I'm going to position it inside the barricade. This is where changing your grid size and views is very important to position it perfectly. Now when positioning the barricade, you want to make sure the clip texture perfectly fits inside the barricade frame, and the green blue box covers up the bottom frame entirely. Make sure it's centered as well so the boards aren't covering up one side too much. Now what we can do is actually add zombie spawns. So let's right click on our grid, go to misc prefab, go to Malo's prefabs, and go to zombies. There's 2 types of spawners we can add, the zombie spawner and the zombie no barricade spawner. So the zombie spawner needs to have a barricade in front of it or else it won't move. And the zombie spawner no barricade must have no barricade in front of it or else it won't move. So pretty much what this means is you're going to have barricade spawners and you're going to have zombies that spawn out of the ground. Kind of like the zombies in Shinonuma or Shangri-La or Call of the Dead. Those are the no barricade spawners, and then the other ones are the zombie spawners. So let's add the zombie spawner to our map. With everything you add in your map, make sure to level it with the floor, change your grid size if you have to, and make sure this red box is halfway in the floor. This is going to be a ground spawner, but like I said, it has to go through a barricade first. So what's going on here is this model here hosts all the zombies info, and then the red box is actually the spawner. So if I select this and press the stamp button at the top, it's going to ungroup it. Now, if I select the model and press N on my keyboard, you can see all of the information here. The only thing we have to worry about is the target name here saying start_zone_spawners. For each zone or room that you create, you'll have to change that information to match it accordingly. As well with that, if we select the actual spawner and press N, you can see start_zone_spawners is there as well. So with this object selected, we're going to change our view. I'm going to go to 7 on my grid and copy this around the barricade. We'll do 4 spawners spawners for fun. Something else we can do is right click on our grid, go to misc prefab, Malo's prefabs, go to zombies and add the zombie spawner no barricade. Then change the view and make sure it's halfway in the floor so the zombies do spawn on the ground. And I'm going to press the stamp button. And again, we can see here it says start_zone_spawners. I'm going to change my grid size again and put a couple of these in my map. Now let's duplicate this barricade wall to the other side. So I'm going to press F on my keyboard, disable entities, select the entire wall, then enable entities, minimize the window, select the barricade, and select all the spawners right here. We don't need to select the model because we only need one of those per zone, which we'll get to shortly. Then I'm going to press space, recenter it, press R to rotate, and then I'll position accordingly in our map. Now, as you can see, we have 2 barricades and a bunch of zombie spawners on our map. Now what I'm going to do is select this wall here, press space, then I'm going to rotate it, position accordingly, and I'm just going to close off the space all the way right here. Then I'm going to press space again and position it at the bottom. So now we have a box. Now what we need to do is add path nodes to our map. If we don't have path nodes, the zombies won't move around. So I'm going to press 7 on my keyboard and change the grid size. I'm going to right click on my grid and go to node, path node. You can change your grid size to position it accordingly, and I'm just going to cover my map with all of these. I'm not sure how many of these you need, but usually if you don't have enough path nodes, the zombies won't move. So we'll have a bunch of them in our map. Now with all these path nodes in our map, I'm going to select one and copy it and put it outside the barricade. Then I'm going to press N and change the direction at the bottom so it goes towards the barricade. Then I'm going to do the same thing for the other barricade. Press space to duplicate it, bring it over here, rotate it around, and now we have a path node at these spawners as well. Now let's add a zone. There's 2 ways you can do this. You can either use my prefab or you can create it from scratch. I'll show both methods here. So if you right click and go to misc prefab, go to Malo's prefabs and open up spawn volume start room, you can see we get this big box. You can position this in your map, press the stamp tool and stretch it around accordingly. Another method you can do to create a zone is right click on your grid, go to info volume, then drag this out around your map. After you do this, you're going to want to add a target name and you're going to want to give it a value. I'm going to give it start_zone. Then what we're going to need to do is add a target and we're going to add start_zone_spawners. Make sure to press enter every time, and as well, whenever you're doing this, make sure there's no spaces after any of these words. If there are, it can totally break your map, so keep an eye out for those. Then press enter, and you can see once we do this, either with this or the prefab, that there's a yellow line connecting to the model. This means the zombie spawners are correctly connected to our map. So what we can do now is change our grid size and position the volume in our room. Make sure whenever you do volumes that the player is always inside a volume. If your player isn't in a volume, the zombies will stop moving out of nowhere. So even if you have another volume, make sure they're touching so the player is always inside a volume. I'm going to stretch this out at the top so it's easier to work with when I have it enabled. And now let's actually add some textures to our map. So what I'm going to do is press F and disable entities. Then I'm going to hold Control, Shift, and press left mouse on my walls. I'm going to select the interior walls here as well. Then I'm going to go to Textures, Usage, and pick one of these categories. You can also pick them from surface type as well. I'm going to do Usage, Interior Wall. Then I'll pick a wall. I'll go with this blue one for an example. Now let's select the bottom and the top frame of the barricade. With this, I'm going to go to Textures, Usage, All. Then I'm going to go to Textures, Surface Type, and pick Concrete. Then I'll pick any texture. We'll go with this white one right here. Now let's add a texture to our floor. I'm going to Control, Shift, left mouse on my floor, go to Textures, Surface Type, and I'm going to select Grass. Now that we've done this, let's add some lights to our map. Press F and enable entities. Then we're going to right click on our grid and go to misc prefab, Malo's prefabs, lighting, and we can pick either or. You can also create a light by right clicking on the grid and selecting light. We're going to add the simple light to our map. With the simple light in our map, I'm going to put it in the middle and make sure it's leveled, and then I'm going to press the stamp button. Now if I select the white diamond, this is the light. If I press N, I can change the radius of the light, making it brighter or darker in my map. The green cube underneath is a reflection probe that fixes the reflections for a light. Always make sure there's a reflection probe underneath a light, but if you use my prefabs, you'll probably be okay. I'm going to change the radius of this to 500, and now I'm going to add the advanced light. I'm going to right click on my grid, go to misc prefab, Malo's prefabs, lighting, and add an advanced light. I'm going to position accordingly, and then I'm going to press the stamp button. Now the only difference with this is there's a little tiny green cube that the light goes towards. This allows the light to go in a specific direction. So if I change the green cube's position or the light position, you can see that the light changes its direction from being a spotlight in one area to an area light. I'm going to select my light in the spawn room and copy it and move it over to this barricade over here. Then I'm going to change the values of this light down to 250. Something else we need to do is fix the colors on our map. So what I'm going to do is go to Textures, Usage, Tools, make sure Surface Type is at all or else it won't show up. Then I'm going to scroll down and select the Light Grid Volume texture. Drag this over your entire map and it'll fix the colors on your map. Now there's one more thing I'm going to do before we test our map. I'm going to add a skybox. This is going to fix some more colors on our map and make our map look a lot better. So the first thing we're going to do is with Textures Usage Tools enabled, we're going to select the caulk texture and drag this out around our map. Then make sure it's dragged out at the top and bottom as well. And if you scroll out, you can see it over here. Then what we're going to do is press the hollow button underneath the brush tab. By pressing this button, you can see it changes its shape and we can see an interior shape as well. Then we're going to go to Textures, Usage, and go to Sky. Now with this enabled, there's a bunch of sky textures we can choose from. I'm going to go with Sky_Berlin 1. Now that we've done that, you might think it's broken, but it's actually not. We're going to deselect this by pressing Escape and press N on our keyboard. Now we're going to add a Skybox model, and I'm going to type in Skybox_Bur1. By doing this, now our Skybox works. Now you might be wondering, where did I get that name Skybox_Bur1? To get the names for your Skybox, right-click on your grid and go to MISC Model. Then open up the Call of Duty World at War root folder, go to Raw, scroll down to X Model, and type in Skybox. This is the value you're going to use for any of your skyboxes. You can choose Skybox_Bur1, or you can even choose Call of Duty Zombie Map skyboxes like Nocturne and Toten or Verrucht with Asylum. Now let's test our map. I'm going to minimize my window, and with the launcher program open, I'm going to go to Mod Builder and select my map, which was Tutorial. Then I'm going to check Build Mod.ff fast file, Build IWD file, and on the IWD file list, make sure every single box is ticked. If not, your map will not work. Then click Build Mod. After this is completed, we're going to go to Compile Level, select our map patch file, make sure Build Fast Files is checked, and press Compile Level. After this is done, select your map, make sure all of these are checked, just make sure Compile This, BSP Info is not checked, and then check Run Map after compile. Press Compile Level, and make sure not to touch anything on your keyboard like clicking or anything like that, or it'll mess up the process. Now with the map loaded, as you can see, our map is fully working. We have zombies spawning in the spawn room, and zombies spawning outside. Now, of course, there's a ton of other things that are missing, like wall purchases, mystery box, perk machines and pack-a-punch, debris, all of that, and we'll get to that next. But with this is a fully functional Call of Duty World at War custom zombies map. All the lighting is fixed and everything is good to go. You can even see things we changed earlier on affecting the game right now. For an example, I have 50,000 points, and on round 2, we have runner zombies. Normally they'd be walking, but now they're at the speed of round 10 zombies. Now before I die, let's add some other features. Now going back to Radiant, let's create some debris. Now the first thing we need to do is extend our map. So I'm going to press F and turn volumes off. Then what I'm going to do is select this wall, press X getting the clipping tool out, and I'm going to cut right here, do Shift Enter, and I'm going to cut right here as well. Then I'm going to deselect with Escape, select the wall, press Backspace, and delete it. Now what I'm going to do is press F again and disable entities. Now I'm going to select the walls right here for the barricade and the walls right here for the barricade. Then I'm going to press F again, enable the entities, and then select the barricade for both locations. Then I'm going to press space and recenter accordingly. After that, I'm going to select the wall over here, press space, bring it over here. Then I'm going to rotate it and position accordingly. Now we can see parts of our map still have caulk, so we're going to select those spaces with Control-Shift left mouse and add the blue wall texture again. Now I'm going to create 2 doorways of debris on my map. So I'm going to delete this wall here, and I'm going to select this wall here, copy it, and position it accordingly. Then I'm going to repeat the same process I did, but with this section here, selecting all of the walls and the barricade. So with all these selected, I'm going to press space and position accordingly once more. Then with this caulk wall, I'm going to rotate it around and I'm going to position it at the bottom. Now our other rooms are looking pretty good, but let's copy all the path nodes in here to the other rooms as well. So like usual, Shift left mouse, select a bunch of path nodes, press space, copy them to the area, and make sure to change your grid size so it's easier to do this, and do this for both rooms. Then what I'm going to do is select my reflection probe and my light, press space, and drag them into my new rooms as well. After that, I'm going to press F and enable volumes. I'm going to change my grid size and drag the start volume over the walls here and at the bottom, just in case the player clips out of the zone. Then I'm going to select this volume, press space, and position it in this room here. Then I'm going to press space again and position it in the other room. Now with this, we can see the zombie model has 3 yellow lines connecting to all the zones. What we need to do now is change the zone's name. So for this one in the start room, if we press N, you can see it says target name start underscore zone and target start underscore zone underscore spawners. So what we're going to do is to our left, we're going to select the volume, press N, and we're going to change start underscore zone to zone 1, then press enter. Then we're going to change target start underscore zone to zone 1 as well, press enter, and go back to your 3D view. Now you can see the yellow line is not connecting to it, but inside of this, there's this glitching little line, meaning it's looking for a zombie spawner, which we'll add shortly. Then inside this volume, we're going to change start underscore zone to zone 2 and start underscore zone here to zone 2 as well. So both of these volumes don't have any zombies yet. Then what we're going to do is select the zombie model here and select one of the zombie spawners. I'm going to press space, move it over here next to this barricade. I'm going to press space again and move it to the other barricade. Then on this zombie model here, I'm going to press N and change start underscore zone to zone 1. Press enter, go back into your view, and you can see it connects right there. Then we're going to do the same for this one here, but this is going to be zone 2. Go back to your view and you can see it works properly. But we actually need to change the zombie spawners as well. So here we're going to change it to zone 1, and for the other spawner we're also going to change it to zone 2. Then I'm going to copy a couple of these around the zombie spawner for both barricades. Then I'm going to select all of these spawners for zone 1 and all of these spawners for zone 2. I'm going to press space, bring them over to the other barricades on this side, rotate them with R, and position them a little bit back from the barricade. Then we're going to grab the path node from this spawner, copy it, and put it over to this barricade and over here. Then we're going to grab the other path node at this spawner and do the same thing, positioning it in front of the other spawners and the other spawners over here. Now in testing my map, I actually noticed that the zombie spawns were broken, and the reason for that was because when I copied all of these zombie spawners here, moved it here and rotated it, the zones got mixed up. So over here, which is supposed to be zone 1, is actually zone 2. So I'm just going to fix that right now. Now we have 3 working zones, but let's add debris. I'm going to disable my volumes, and I'm going to show you 2 methods on how you can create debris. One of them being simple debris and the other one being complex debris. Let's start with simple debris. So for simple debris, we only need a brush model and a trigger. So what we're going to do is right click on our grid and select script brush model. Then we're going to position this in front of our door and give it the clip texture. The clip texture allows the players to have collision with this object, so position it accordingly to cover up the whole door frame. Then we're going to do Control Shift left mouse and give the door a texture, because this is going to be a wall we purchased that disappears. For the example, I'll just do the barricade texture. Then with it selected, I'm going to press N on my keyboard, check dynamic path. I'm going to give it a target name, and let's give it debris 1. Press enter, and then we're going to do script link to, and we'll put 1 as well. For the target name and the link to, these are 2 numbers we're going to use later to connect to other objects. So script link to, it's a custom number, and target name is a custom name that you'll pick. Then we're going to do spawn flags and set the value to 1 and press enter as well. After this, let's deselect our object, right click, and go to trigger use. Position this where you want it, but I'd make it pretty big so the player doesn't have to hug the wall to purchase the door. And I'll drag this down a little bit just in case we have to grab this gun to make it easier. Then with a trigger, I'm going to press N, and then I'm going to give it a target, and the target we used was debris 1. I'm going to press enter, and I'm going to give it a target name, which is zombie underscore debris. Then I'm going to give it a cost, which is 750. You can do other numbers though, like 1,000, 1,250, whatever number you want. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add a script flag. So put script flag for the key, and we're going to do for the value enter underscore zone 1. So what this is saying, if I enable my volumes by pressing F, we have 2 zones and a bridge in between. We have this volume here, which is start underscore zone, and we have another volume right here, which is zone 1. There's a bridge in between though that unlocks the area, and that is enter underscore zone 1. So with that now, we're going to minimize Radiant and open up our Call of Duty World at War root folder. Then we're going to go to mods, our map file, which was tutorial, and we're going to go to maps. Then open up your GS file named after your map, scroll to the very bottom, and we're going to copy this line right here. Add underscore adjacent zone, receiver zone, outside east zone, enter outside east. Copy this, press enter maybe twice, and then press Ctrl V. We don't need the slashes because that makes it a comment, and make sure all the spacing is correct here. Don't get rid of any of this space here. Then what we're going to do is change receiver zone to start underscore zone. We're going to change the outside east zone to zone 1, and we're going to do enter underscore zone 1. Then save the file. Now if we build and test our map, you can see that start zone and zone 1 are working. We're not going to go into this room because it'll bug out the map, but in the start zone we have zombies that are spawning, and once we open up the debris over here, zombies will spawn there as well. So if I go ahead and purchase this debris for $750, zone 1 has been enabled, and now zombies are going to spawn in this room. Now as we can see, there are zombies spawning in zone 1. So with this, our debris for zone 1 is fully completed, and now let's get into creating debris for zone 2, creating complex debris. Now let's create complex debris. We're going to press F and turn our volume off to make this process easier, and we're going to go to this door frame over here. Now for complex debris, we need 4 things: a model, a brush model with a clip texture, a strut, and a trigger. So let's first add a model. We're going to right click and go to Script, Model. Then we're going to open up the Call of Duty World at War root folder, go down to Raw, and go to X model. Here you can select any model you'd like. I'll pick this bookshelf right here. Then I'm going to position it accordingly inside the door frame, and it's going to be sticking out a bit, so I'll just push it forward so it's outside of the door frame. Then with this script model, we're going to press N, check dynamic path. We're going to give it a target name, and for this one, let's call it Object Debris 1. Then we're going to give it a script underscore fire FX, and we're going to give poltergeist, giving it a sound effect that plays. We're going to give it script underscore FXID, and we're going to do large ceiling dust, which is going to give it a particle effect. And then we're going to do script underscore noteworthy, which is going to give it a jiggle effect if we put jiggle for value. Then we're going to do script link to, and just like I said with the target name, we have to make the script link to a specific number as well. So we already did 1, so now we're going to do 2. Then we're going to give it spawn flags and set that to 1 and press enter. I'm going to rotate my bookshelf around because it's backwards. And now we're going to add a brush model. So right click on your grid and go to script brush model. We're going to select the clip texture and drag this around our bookshelf. I'm going to lower the height a little bit just in case we need to grab the object again. And with this brush model, I'm going to press N, check dynamic path. I'm going to give it a target name, which is going to be the same target name we used earlier, being Object Debris 1. Then I'm going to do script underscore link to and set this to 2. And I'm going to set the spawn flags to 1. Now what we're going to do is add a strut. Right click on your grid and select script strut. Then we're going to position this over our object, change our grid size, and put it way up in the sky, like that much. Then with this selected, we're going to press N and give it script underscore link name, and we're going to set this to 2. If done correctly, there'll be 2 red lines connecting to the object and the brush model. Now what we're going to do is add a trigger. So right click on your grid, go to trigger, use, and drag this where you'd like the trigger to be. Now with the trigger, I'm going to press N, set the target to Object Debris 1, press enter, set the target name to zombie underscore debris, and set the zombie cost. This time we'll do $12.50. Then we're also going to add a script flag, and this is going to be enter underscore zone 2. Like I said earlier, I'm going to enable my volume. We have the start zone right here, which is start underscore zone, and we have zone 2 right here. The bridge in between is this trigger, which is set to enter underscore zone 2. So now we're going to minimize World at War and open up our tutorial GS file again. At the very bottom, we're going to copy this line here. We're going to paste it and change zone 1 to zone 2 and enter zone 1 to enter zone 2. Now, if you had a door that went from one of the doors we purchased, what you would do would be something very similar. For an example, if we were inside zone 2 and we were going to enter zone 3, we're going to set enter underscore zone to 3 as well. So it's the room we're in, the next room we're going into, and the bridge or trigger in between. I'm going to delete this text because it was just an example. I'm going to save this, and now let's test out our map. Sometimes you have to refresh the files here, so I'll just select another map and then go back. Then with all of these checked, I'm going to select build mod. Then with my tutorial patch selected and build fast files checked, I'm going to compile the level, and then I'm going to select my map and compile the level, and let's see if it works. Now if we test our map, we can see that zone 1 and zone 2 are linked and ready to go, and our debris is right here. Now right now all the zombies are going to spawn right inside the spawn room, but once we open up the other locations like this room here, then the zombies will spawn there. Now if I purchase my debris right here, we can see it fly up into the sky, and now zone 2 is enabled. As we can see, that is working right now with this zombie spawning right here. Now that debris is working on our map, let's add some other fun features as well. I'm going to press F and disable Pathnodes. Now let's add hellhounds to our map. I'm going to right click on my grid and go to Misc Prefab, go to Malo's Prefabs, Zombies, and open up the dog spawner.map. Now with this is very similar to the zombie spawner. I'm going to press the stamp button, and now we can view the information on the model and the strut here. If I press N on my keyboard with the dog model selected, we can see all of this information. And if I select the strut over here, we can see the same thing goes for the zombie spawners, start_zone. So all we have to do is copy this for each room and change that value. We only need one dog model for our entire map though. So remember, zombies, you need a zombie model for each room, and dogs, you only need one for your entire map. So I'm going to copy the strut and put a couple in my room. Then I'm going to copy the strut and place it in another room. I'm going to press N on my keyboard and set start zone to zone 2. Then I'm going to copy these in this room and do the same thing for the other room. Again, you can change the direction of these nodes too. Then for this room, I'm going to change start zone to zone 1 and then copy this for this room. Now let's add power-ups to our map. We're going to right click on the grid and do Misc Prefab, Malo's Prefabs, and do power-ups. Similar to the volume, I'm going to press the stamp button and drag this all over my room. Then I'm going to duplicate it for this room as well and duplicate it for this room down here. Now I'm going to press F on my keyboard and disable volume and triggers. Now let's add a wall weapon to our map. If I right click on the grid and select Misc Prefab, scroll down to zombie mode and scroll all the way down, we could see a bunch of weapons. Make sure you select a weapon that has upgrade in the title. If you select one that doesn't, it won't work on your map. So for an example, I'm going to pick weapon_upgrade M1 Grand. Now with this, we can position it on our map however we'd like. Make sure to push the wall weapon into the wall so the chalk sticks out. Now let's add a moving mystery box to our map. I'm going to right click on the grid and select Misc Prefab, go to Malo's Prefabs, and then select Sniper Bolt's moving mystery box. The reason why I have this in my folder is the original file had the origin point for the mystery box way off, so I recentered them and put them in here. But of course, credit to Sniper Bolt. We're going to select the treasure chest begin and position this in our spawn room. Now you can see the triggers are invisible on here because we turned them off, but this is how it normally looks. I'm going to right click again and select Misc Prefab, go to Malo's Prefabs, Sniper Bolt's moving mystery box, and I'm going to add treasure chest 1 and position this in the other room. Then I'm going to right click again and do Misc Prefab, Malo's Prefabs, Sniper Bolt's moving mystery box, and we're going to add treasure chest 2 and position this in another room of the map. I accidentally positioned my mystery boxes backwards, so I'm just going to rotate them. Make sure that the teddy bear is facing out. Now let's add Perk Machines to our map. We're going to right click, go to Misc Prefab, and open up Gimpy's Prefabs, Perks. Here you can select any perk machine you'd like, and you can even select perk_randomized on your map, meaning it'll randomly pick one of the perk machines and spawn it on your map, similar to Shino Numa. One thing you have to have on your map, and I'm not 100% sure why, but we're just going to do it, is have a distraction point. Add this to your map and position it wherever you'd like. Now I'm going to go to Misc Prefab, Gimpy's Prefabs, Perks, and I'll add Juggernog for an example. Once again, position it how you'd like and add more perks if you'd like as well. Now if you add in a Black Ops 2 perk machine, it's going to look like this, and you might be confused what direction it's supposed to face because it doesn't look like a perk machine. The arrow at the bottom is irrelevant. The way the control panel is facing is how you'd want it. So right now it's to the side, so I'm going to rotate it so it's on an angle and it'll look much better. Now for adding Pack-a-Punch, right click on your grid, select Misc Prefab, and go to the UGX Mod Tools Patch Prefabs. Then select vending_weapon_upgrade. Like usual, position accordingly. Now let's add a power switch to our map. We're going to right click, Misc Prefab, go to Malo's Prefabs, and add the power switch. Another neat thing I can show you is how to add models to your map. If you right click and do Misc Model, then go to the Call of Duty World at War root folder, go down to Raw, go down to X Model, and you can select any model you'd like. Now when you import a model into your map, you're going to have to add collision to it. So deselect the model, select the clip texture, and draw a box around the object. Another really cool thing we can add is special effects. We right click on our grid, select Misc Prefab, go to Malo's Prefabs, and select UGX_FX_strut. We can position this on our map halfway in the floor. Then press the stamp button and press N on your keyboard. This is what we're going to change. Script_noteworthy, the FX name. For an example, I'm going to do fire 1 and press enter. Now by doing this is going to create a fire effect. If you want the list of all the effects you can use, open up your mod folder, go to your map, go to maps, and select UGX_easy_FX. Scroll down and this will show you all of the effects you can use, like fire 1, smoke 1, explosion 1, and etc. Like I said though, for this example, I'm going to do fire 1. Now let's test our map. I'm I'm going to select another map and then go back to refresh the files here. I'm going to click build mod. Then I'm going to go to compile level and build the patch. And then I'm going to build my map. Now, if we test our map, we can see that everything is working. Our perk machines, the power, effects, a model we imported, mystery box, pack-a-punch, and even wall weapons. Now, as you can see, I have tons of perks right now. I have 6 perks instead of the 4 limit, which is a really cool feature as well. Now, you can see we got a teddy bear from the mystery box, and let's see if it changes its location to another room. Also, if you're wondering why the pack-a-punch camo looks like this is normal. It's just the lighting on most zombie maps is really dark. And there we go. The mystery box moved to another location. Now, let's see if we can get to the dog round and see if that works as well. Now, the dog round is starting, and let's see if they spawn correctly. So there's a hellhound spawning over here, which is a good sign. Looks like there's a hellhound that spawned over there again, and there's one that spawned right here. So hellhounds are working perfectly. And once we complete the round, we get a max ammo, and that is everything we've done. We added mystery box, perk machines, including extra ones like Vulturate, Widow's Wine, Who's Who, Deadshot, Double Tap 2, all of that fun stuff. Pack-a-punch, wall weapons, a model with collision, power, power-ups, debris, all of that good stuff. Now I'm going to show you something really cool we can do to make our maps even better. I'm going to show you how to import custom textures into your World at War Custom Zombies map. Download an image off the internet. For an example, I'm going to use this one of our Lord and Savior Mr. T Lexify, and open up an image editor. For this example, I'm going to use Photoshop, but I bet there's other free programs you can use that'll do the same thing. Create a new file with the canvas size being 1024 by 1024. You can probably set the resolution to 1024 and press create. After that, let's import our image. An easy way to do this is minimize Photoshop and drag our image into it. Then press the check mark and we're all set. Now what we're going to do is save it as a TGA file. So go to File, Save a Copy, select on your computer. Then we're going to go to our Call of Duty World at War root folder, open up Raw and Images. Title your file. I'm going to do Lex in lowercase, and we're going to change Save as Type to TGA. Then press Save. Press OK. Then we can close Photoshop. Now go to Bin and open up the launcher. Then open up the Asset Manager. Then we're going to do File, Save, go to our Call of Duty World at War root folder, scroll down to Source Data, and save it here. I'm going to title this Lex in all lowercase. Press Save. Then we're going to scroll down to Material, do a new entry. I'm going to type in Lex lowercase. For surface type, this is going to play a special effect and sound. Pick whatever one you think best suits your texture. I'm going to go with fruit. For usage, this is the category in Radiant where we'll find it. I'm going to select Poster, check Decal, and under Color Map, select your file. So I'm going to go to Call of Duty World at War, Raw, scroll down to Images, and select my Lex file. Press Open, and then press F10 on your computer. If done correctly, it should look like this. I'm going to close this now, close the Asset Manager. I'm going to open up the Call of Duty World at War root folder, go to Raw, Images, and see this lex.iwi file. This is the one we want to copy and put into our mod file. So I'm going to back up, go to Mods, go to my map. In my IWI file, which I just created one, I'm going to paste this in here. Then we're going to open up the launcher and launch Radiant. Now inside our map, we can go to Textures, Usage, or Surface Type to find our texture. I'm going to go to Textures, Poster, and if I scroll down, there we go. So I'm going to select it out right here and then drag it up. Now you can see the image is getting cropped. One thing you can do is drag it out and make it fit, but we can see that this is a really big image. So what I'm going to do is select this and I'm going to press S. Now with this, I can change the size, like the horizontal stretch. Normally it's at 0.25. I'm going to set it to 1 and press done. And now there's lots of tiny pictures. So I'm going to scale this down and now you can see that looks pretty good. And now we can test our map and check this out. So I'm going to go to my mod builder and select my map and make sure that you check your IWI file folder. Make sure that's checked. Then check these two right here. Click build mod, go to compile and build your patch. Then under your map, compile it and let's see if it works. Now inside of our map, we can see our beautiful new texture. Now another really cool thing I can show you how to do is how to import custom models into your Call of Duty World at War Custom Zombies map. The first thing you need to do is download Blender. So go onto Steam and search up Blender. It's a free modeling program you can install. So we're going to install this. Now after you've installed Blender, we're going to have to change it back to an older version. I haven't had luck doing this on the current version, but maybe it works. I don't know, but I do know that this method does work. So the first thing we're going to have to do to change it back to an older version is go up to View on Steam and Settings. Then right here for beta participation, we're going to click Change, and we're going to change this from None to Steam Beta Update. and then press OK. Then we'll have to restart Steam. And then after that, we're going to change the version of Blender. So right click on Blender, go to Properties, then we're going to go to Betas and change None to 2.79. Now that we've installed Blender 2.79, we're going to have to download another file. In the description, there will be a link to Blender-Cod, or you can just copy the URL above. Then Blender-Cod add-on version 0.3.5 Alpha 3, we're going to download. After that's done downloading, drag the WinRAR file onto your desktop. Then launch Blender 2.79. After that, we're going to go to File, User Preferences, and then from here, make sure you're on the Add-ons tab. We're going to click Install Add-on from File, then open your desktop, then select Blender-Cod add-on version 0.3.5 Alpha 3. Then click Install Add-on from File. After that, now still on the Add-ons tab, we're going to select Testing, and now you can see we have Import Export Blender-Cod add-on for Call of Duty modding Alpha 3. Now let's import a custom model into our scene. For this example, I'm going to use this Umbreon 3D model that's free. There's a link in the description. I'm going to click Download, and then I'm going to click the zip button here. Now that we've downloaded the file, drag the WinRAR file onto your desktop, open it, and drag the Umbreon file onto your desktop as well. We can delete this WinRAR file now. Now back inside of Blender, we're going to delete this cube by pressing Delete, then clicking the Delete button with our left mouse. Then we're going to import our file. We're going to go to File, Import, then we're going to go to FBX, open our desktop, then go to the Umbreon file. I'm going to import the Umbreon highpoly.fbx. So then select that and click the Import FBX button. Now that we have our model in our scene, you can see that we don't have any textures. Now if we go to the bottom left next to the button that says Object Mode, we can change our viewport shading from solid to material. Now we're almost there for seeing textures, but our model is still white. So to fix this, we're going to select our model right here. We're going to go to the Textures tab, and here it's invisible, but if we go to our Materials tab, you can see there are two textures. So with the Umbreon material selected, go to the Textures panel, click New, and then we're going to import the image. So we're going to click the Open button right here, then open up the Umbreon file and select the umbreon.png file. Then click Open Image, and you can see now we have textures, but the eyes are missing. So we're going to do the same process again. We're going to select the material window, go to Umbreon Eye, select the texture window, click New, Open, then open up our Umbreon file, click umbreon.eye.png, and click Open Image. Now you can see all of the textures are working. Now what we need to do is scale our object. So I'm going to scroll out with the middle mouse wheel. I'm going to press S and drag the model up, making it bigger. Then I'm going to drag it up so it's leveled with the floor. Now that we've scaled our model up, we're going to go to File, Export, and select Cod Xmodel, Xmodel Export. Then we need to save our file. I'm going to select my desktop and title the file Umbreon1, all lowercase. Then click Export Xmodel Export. Now that this is done, you can see we have an Umbreon1.xmodel export file on our desktop. Now if we check our textures and right click on the file, going to Properties, you can see the file type is a PNG. Call of Duty World at War doesn't like PNG files, so we need to convert these to a JPEG. So I'm going to open up the texture file in Photoshop. I'm going to go to File, Save as a Copy, and I'm going to change it from PNG to JPEG. Then I'm going to press Save and press OK. I'm going to do the same process for the eye, going to File, Save as a Copy, then changing it from PNG to JPEG and pressing Save, then pressing OK. Now we can drag these two JPEG copy files onto our desktop. We can close the folder now, and we're going to rename these from Umbreon Eye Copy to just Umbreon Eye, and I'm going to change this one from Umbreon Copy to Umbreon. The name of the file is very important because it references the textures used in the model file. Now I'm going to open up my Call of Duty World at War root folder, go to Raw, Images, and I'm going to drag these Umbreon files into my Raw Images folder. Now going back to the Call of Duty World at War root folder, I'm going to go to Model Export, and I'm going to drag my file into this folder. Now inside of the Call of Duty World at War root folder again, I'm going to go to Bin and open up the launcher. Now with the launcher open, I'm going to open up the Asset Manager. I'm going to click File, Save. Under the source data file, I'm going to title this Umbreon Model. Then I'm going to press Save. I'm going to scroll down to Xmodel, click New Entry, title this Umbreon Model. Then I'm going to open up the model file under File Name, go to my Call of Duty World at War root folder, go to Model Export, and select my Umbreon1 Xmodel export file. Then click Open, change Collision LOD to High. Then I'm going to scroll up and select Material, click New Entry. I'm going to type in Umbreon because this is the name of the main texture file, all lowercase as well. Press OK. I'm going to change the material type from World Fong to Model Fong. I'm going to change the surface type to Flesh, and then open up the texture file under Color Map. So inside of the Call of Duty World at War root folder, I'm going to scroll down, go to Raw, scroll down and select Images, and then I'm going to select my Umbreon file. Press Open, and now press F10. Now you can see our conversion was successful. Then I'm going to close this, do another new entry, entitle it Umbreon Eye, press OK. Then I'm going to change material type from World Fong to model fong, change surface type to flesh. Then I'm going to open up the color map and open the textures for the eyes. So inside of the Call of Duty World at War root folder under raw images, I'm going to scroll down and select Umbreon Eye. Press open and then press F10. Now that all of our textures are converted, we can close this. We're going to scroll back down and select X model, select our model, press F10. And now, as you can see, our model has been exported. So I'm just going to close this. I'll minimize the asset manager. I'm going to open up the asset viewer. And inside of the asset viewer, I'm going to type in Umbreon model. As you can see, it's right here. I'm going to select it. And now, as you can see, our Umbreon model is working. So to add this to my map, I'm going to open up the Radiant button. I'm going to open up my map file, right click on my grid and select MISC model. Then inside of my Call of Duty World at War root folder, I'm going to scroll down and select raw, scroll all the way down to X model. And then I'm going to type in Umbreon model, select this, press open. And as you can see, we have a tiny little Umbreon model in our map. We can position this accordingly and even add a clipping texture so the player can't run inside of it. And that's how you add a custom model into your World at War custom zombies map. Now there's one more really important thing we have to do, and that's copying the IWI files to our mod folder. So I'm going to go to raw, images, scroll down. I'm going to select my umbreon.iwi file, and I'm going to select my umbreoni.iwi file as well. Press Ctrl Z on your keyboard. I'm going to go back to my Call of Duty World at War root folder, go to mods, open up my map folder, go inside my IWI folder, and paste these IWI files into this folder. Now we can go to mod builder, select our map, check the umbreon.iwi file and the umbreoni.iwi file. Check these two right here, build mod. Then I'm going to select my patch file and press compile level. And then I'm going to select my map file with run map after compile checked and press compile. Now inside of our Call of Duty World at War custom zombies map, you can see our Umbreon model is in our map. And the clip texture I put in is blocking me from phasing through the object. Now once our map is fully completed, we're going to want to be able to share it and play it with other people. The first thing we want to do is remove the debug text from our map. Now to do this, we're going to open up our Call of Duty World at War root folder, go to raw, open up the maps file, then we're going to scroll down almost halfway and select the _zombie mode _zone _manager file. With it selected, press Ctrl C to copy it. Then we're going to back up, go to our mods folder, go to our map, open up the maps file, and press Ctrl V, pasting the _zombie mode _zone _manager file. Then we're going to open this up, press Ctrl A, press backspace to delete it all. Then in the description, open up this page on how do I remove the zone debug text. Scroll down and click this button here. Then we're going to minimize this. Then we're going to go back to this file, press Ctrl V, and then save the file. Now before we compile our map, we have to turn the debug text off for the effects as well. So open up your UGX_easy_fx file, scroll down, then right here where it says debug setting and it's set to 1, we're going to set this to 0. We're also going to remove the text right here saying easyfx found plus fx spots. Select all of this, press delete, and save your file. Then inside of the launcher, we're going to go to mod builder, select another map, then select our map, scroll down and make sure zombie mode zone manager is checked, as well as UGX easyfx. Build your mod, then select your patch file and compile the level, and then select your map and compile the level as well. And now inside of our map, you can see there's no more debug text. The debug text for normal map making is gone, and the FX debug text is gone as well. Now something important I want to mention before we actually build and export our map, make sure that all of your IWI files are in an images folder. I just learned this right now, went through a bunch of troubleshooting. What the fuck? Don't have it in an IWI file, don't have it empty. Make sure it's in an images folder. If they're not, your textures on your map are all going to be white. Now, let's export our map. We're going to go to the Start menu at the bottom left of our desktop, right-click, and click Run. Then with this, we're going to type in %appdata% and press OK. Then go back one folder, go to Local, go to Activision, Cod World at War. Now this is where all of our maps are installed. So in the description, there's a link to the UGX Installation Creator version 1.1, and we're going to download this file. Then I'm going to drag this file onto my desktop, open up the folder, open up this file, open up bin, and open up zip2exe. Now the next thing we need to do is add our map to a WinRAR file. So I'm going to click on our map, right click, go to add to archive, select zip, and press OK. After that's done, we're going to select the path up here, press Ctrl C, then I'm going to click the open button here and paste it in the path up here, pressing Ctrl V. Then I'm going to scroll down and select my map that's a WinRAR file, press open. Then under output exe file, I'm going to click the browse button and I'm going to select my desktop. Then we're going to change the compression to bzip2. I'm going to check the size solid button, and then I'm going to press generate. Now, as you can see, our map has finished exporting. So I'm going to press close, and now we're left with this UGX mod file. I'm going to double click this. I'm going to press next. I agree, and then press finish. Then if I launch Call of Duty World at War, go to mods, scroll down to my map and click launch. What the fuck? Then I'm going to go to cooperative, select private match, change game setup, and change the map to Nazi Zombies tutorial. Press OK. Then I'm going to press the squiggly line key underneath the escape key on my keyboard, also next to the tab and 1 key. I'm going to type in /X party go and press enter. And as you can see, everything in our map is working perfectly. All of our content is here, and the textures have loaded on our wall right here and for our Umbreon model right here. Now, to play your map with friends online, they're going to need 2 files. One being your UGX mod exe file, and they're also going to need TM4. So send them your UGX mod install exe file, and either send them the D3D9 file or send them a link to TM4. Then make sure that they drag the D3D9 file into their Call of Duty World at War root folder, and then you're both going to need Plutonium. The World at War servers are broken, so Plutonium allows you to play with people, fixing that problem. So just download Plutonium, go through the installation process, create a Plutonium account, and install World at War for Plutonium. Then on the forums, search up your friend's username and send them a friend request. So then we're going to launch Call of Duty World at War via Plutonium, go to mods, select our mod map, press launch, and then to host a game, I'm going to go to cooperative, private match, click game setup, and change the mode to Nazi Zombies, then press OK. I'm going to press the squiggly line key underneath the escape key and type in /X party go, then press enter. Now, to join someone who's hosting a game, make sure they hosted a lobby. Then to join them, I'm going to press F10 on my keyboard or the home button. On the top left, I'm going to go to friends list, and then you can see Surtur Pinkton is in a private match. I'm going to double click on his name, and then as you can see, I'm inside my friend's lobby who's hosting my Call of Duty World at War custom zombies map. So that is how to make a Call of Duty World at War custom zombies map. Thank you all for watching this video. I greatly appreciate it. Have a good day or night, and I'll see you later.